Alright, it is time now for episode 57 here in the Challenge Series. Just hot off of the 7 race championship. So basically, the last round of the Premium Sports Cup was yesterday. And, it kind of means that the first round doesn't have a lot of the series' key drivers because some people want a day off. Funny thing, you know. Not everyone just eats, sleeps, and breathes racing, but there are a select few that do, apparently. And, yeah, we would have 5 races anyway. There's been some difficulties that we'll get into later on, but for now, let's get into the first of those races. Great lights. We have arrived for the first race of this episode, and we head to Fuji Speedway for a 720 class race. Isn't that ironic? We just got done with we just did 12 consecutive races with this category, and yet everyone's just like, no, we want to do more, because, well, not everybody got to do the last 7, including myself, as I am the focus car here. There's one development, and that is the car that is too high with Tyler at the moment. The car that's too high with Tyler at the moment. There we go, I hate when that happened. My own mom has joined the 720 category. And she brings an Audi R8 to the table. Apparently this like purple and blue color scheme, that's just the branding of Walter C. Yeah, there are a couple of drivers here, as we see Ashley's redesigned Corvette with front end damage to go with it. By the looks of context clues, she must have ran into the back of Kaiser. Yeah, these two were in the championship. Stephanie was, June Summers was, Natsuki was, and that is it. So this is, despite being in the same category, almost a completely different starting grid from the Cup. I'm going to look to the outside of Briggs here to try and take 8th place from her, and I'll do exactly that as she gets caught up behind the Aston Martin there. Victory tries to give me a bit of a small heart attack there by deciding that I don't need to re-enter the track, but eventually moves over because, you know, she does a little trolling, I guess. Silly me, I couldn't get the advantage over that Firebird until we reached the kink, and he has to slow down for it because his car is wildly uncontrollable and mine is not so. Oh my word, DeFloco is just getting maneuvered right now in the back as both my mom and my... Nope, that's not my mom. My dad and Italy make their way ahead. My mom's way back here in 14th. She isn't having the worst debut for her R8. She's made up a few places on track, as well as a few places just off cars taking damage. I get ahead of Stuber with relative ease because the Porsche Cayman severely lacks top speed. Remember earlier the people who do or do not eat, sleep, and breathe racing. It's needless to say, Eric Wojciechowski is on the list of people that do. However, I have just taken him around the outside at turn 4, and I move into the lead with just a lap and a half to go. I'd hope I can actually hang on to it. I about didn't, by the way. I almost locked the brakes up there. The field is rather spread out at the moment. Apparently DeFilippo got back ahead of Nuturi in recent history. And now she's going to use the slow cornering section to take it back from the Firebird. All-wheel drive state-of-the-art supercar versus 1970s muscle car with a Corvette engine. I'll let you guess who wins that one. DeFilippo now finds himself under threat from June Summers. Despite his vehicle's shortcomings, Stuber is holding on pretty well to his third position. He might just be able to stay here for the whole race, but my dad is closing in fast. He's closed in. He's no longer closing in, he's just in, and he's out of control, a little bit out of turn 5. But now we do head up to the slow speed corners where that Porsche Cayman mid-engine rear-wheel drive platform will be helpful in maintaining P3 over the Lexus behind. Mulsanne has definitely plummeted in this race, and my mom finds herself running the top 10 now. So starting 19th, I would say it's been a pretty notable debut for the R8. And I finally returned to victory lane here at Fuji Speedway for my first race win in probably over a month here in the Challenge Series. Eric Wojciechowski, P2. Billy Stuber will barely hang on to third. But another lap and I can all but guarantee you he would not have stayed there. Even under the cooldown lap, the other two were just like, I'm gonna pass you. And then you have a relatively straightforward race. Ease our way back into the normal grind of the Challenge Series. None of this championship stuff. And then, of course, we still have the ones who were like, let's go again, because they don't have anything else to do with their life. I'm actually surprised June Summers was here. I know Eric and Stephanie and Natsuki are like that. Natsuki literally lives off of this. I don't know why June was here again. I guess she was just bored. I wasn't about to ask. But anyway, let's head into the second round of the episode. The second race of the episode is green. In a bit of an experiment to see how the drivers feel about the other layout, we are running a high-speed rings reverse layout in hopes that maybe the reversed layout of the track might feel safer for the drivers, as We received a lot of complaints as of late that high-speed running hasn't proven to be the safest venue for racing. It's caused many big crashes in the time we've been running here. And the belief was, well, maybe the reverse layout might be a little better because it makes turn 1 a much slower corner. And it makes what was turn 1, the final corner, feeding you onto a back straightaway. It makes this turn much less treacherous as well because you're approaching it at a much slower corner, at a much slower speed than you would have been coming from the other way. I spent an entire lap ranting about the logic of running the reverse layout. I haven't even explained who we're on board with. Alyssa Ayase is the focus point here, in a rather unusual affair, as this race is comprised entirely of team cars. I'm actually going to go back to the beginning and fully demonstrate this concept. I don't know whose idea this was. Probably Thrasher's, because I put this team on the front. But this race was comprised exclusively of cars representing a team. So we have Black Stallion Motorsports. Then we have Jack Scarborough Racing, 4 cars from them. Then we have Riptide Motorsport, 4 cars from them. Sugar and Spice Racing Team only has 3, but I'm a 1-car team and I start 16th. And then we have Heartbreaker Drift Project, and they're 4 cars. As you can see, Alyssa is not deterred by starting last, and isn't having too many problems picking her way through all of the other teams. It's starting to feel like Hot Wheels World Race with all the teams. We're just going to be bigger teams, and we could have our own rip-off of that. Alyssa already finds herself in P4. We're only about a lap and 3/4 through this 5-lap event. Axel Valentine is currently in the process of fucking off into the distance. His Mach 1 very clearly designed and tuned well for this circuit. Especially when we compare relative speeds. But Alyssa's also seems to be very high RPM focused. 176 into the first turn. And she is chasing down Thomas O'Reilly like a bloodhound, and is overtaking him out of turn 1 with relative ease. Nitri is fending off JSR to remain in P4 at the moment. P5. I'm an idiot. Demon Cortexo overtakes his team leader. Axel Valentine isn't going quietly. He's going to go back down the inside of Ayase into the second to last turn. But the Volkswagen holds the outside well and remains in the lead for the moment. Does the Mustang have an answer as we go back towards the final corner? Seems like it. It's going to get to her inside and clear throughout the middle of the turn. And Thomas O'Reilly is attempting to become a part of this, but he just cannot hang with them. Now with Slipstream on her side, Alyssa might be going even over 176. 178 into 1. Gets it stopped. Even gets it turned in to take the corner well. Just to let off though, wrong gear. Mitri's on the warpath after Thrasher at the moment. Cortexa not far behind her either. The thing with a track like this is it definitely just kind of spreads everybody out into their, you know, it puts everybody in their appropriate positions in the running order pretty quickly because it's a straight line track. So mostly cars with good straight line speed are gonna just shoot straight to the front. Yukiko Kosaka is not having a great day. The good thing is she has, Jake, we are not doing this again. Better not have damaged my car, or on God, I will send you back to the Far East. Kokoro is trying to get around the outside of Natsuki here for 15th, basically fighting for table scraps. I can only assume Kogasa got damaged somewhere along the way. I think we actually have probably plenty of time in this video to, yes, she did. Brendan Reed went for a gap that was closing and smacked into the back of the Jag. Hang on. Get this dumb thing. I'm pretty sure this was close to starting lap 5 by then. Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty spread out, other than this battle for 15th. Yeah, so now we're officially back to where we started here. Natsuki, even with the slipstream coming off Molly Rivers, is not able to keep up with the 86 GT. Kokoro slots in between Natsuki and wanted to pass on Rivers, but Rivers broke so aggressively that the 86 couldn't keep up with that. I had expected that this would be the kind of race that could potentially start team controversies, either beef between teams or amongst team members, but we didn't have such a thing. Hitri apparently passed Thrasher not too long ago. She wants bonus points against O'Reilly, but the GT51 has a little too much acceleration for that, I would say. And out of the very long last turn, Elisa Ayase is a team of 1 this afternoon, winning that high-speed ring reverse. Axel Valentine comes in 2nd place, not far behind, and then a distant 3rd place looks like it will go to Thomas O'Reilly. So, for the most part, Black Stallion held station. Mitsuri Kawashiro, starting 9th, ends up in 4th. So, decent, pretty significant finishing position for her, jumping all of JSR, as well as jumping over Thrasher himself. And yeah, as I was saying, I figured this would be exactly the sort of race that would create drama amongst team members or between teams, but not really. The only thing that really happened was just a racing incident between Kogasa and Brendan. And now let's head into round 3, I suppose. And the 3rd race is green for the episode, and is 680 class in a pretty significantly damp Red Bull ring. However, it is still dry enough to where we can have ourselves a race. The moisture is about 45 to 50%, and therefore it is not. It's not over 75, which is where we kind of get concerned. Tetsuya Harada is the focus driver of this event, and they will probably be more than okay with these conditions since they are driving an all-wheel drive vehicle. There are a few of those on the grid. Especially weird is the fact that this entire grid is comprised of Japanese cars. Supra, R34, RX-7, Supra, Subaru, RX-7, Celica, NSX, Mitsubishi, Subaru, Supra, Toyota Crown, Lancer, RX-7, S30 240Z, Impreza, R33, Mitsubishi, and a Nissan Z. Not every driver is Japanese, but it's a pretty decent number. Probably half, at least. I think I can piece together what happened there, just based off context. Turn 3, as I mentioned multiple times, it's not kind to careless drivers who happen to play little slight bumps on people around them. You're moving just fast enough for that might cause aero damage. I think that's exactly what happened to Falcon and Weiss just then. Harada's making pretty good time, already looking at the top 5 against fellow Subaru driver Suwako, and he will get it. Also thanks to 4-wheel drive once, also gets a run on Kenji Fujikawa, and gets ahead of him with relative ease. Don't think he'll be in range for McIntosh though, no, not even close. Harada goes through ahead of McIntosh in one of the weirder places to do it, turn 5. And then goes ahead of Takahata down the last straightaway of the lap. So just 2 laps in, and already Tetsuya Harada is chasing down the leader, Akira Taniguchi. I'm sure there'll be no lack of people who remember the last time it was Takahata and Taniguchi near the front here at Red Bull Ring. I know Taniguchi certainly remembers. Takahata nearly losing control of his vehicle, which then was an R32. And a huge exit out of turn 1 will put Harada through into the lead of the race, just barely into the third lap of the event. And now he can begin to just drive away with it, if at all possible, which something tells me it is, based on the pace he's made so far. Taiwan McIntosh has also overtaken Kazuya Takahata, so that GTR supremacy is not getting him super far here, I'm not gonna lie. Nitori goes down the inside of Kenji. Nitori, who prides herself as a pretty good driver in the rain, being a literal water creature herself, makes a position up on the RX-7 and tracks down fellow former resident of Gensokyo, Suwako, another person who's probably no stranger to rain. And drive away, Tetsuya Harada definitely has done. My word, Harada seems to be pushing the car like he wants to drive as far away as possible, rather than just secure the bag and win the race. It seems to be working though, because, I mean, you can't even... Akira can't even see Harada anymore, probably helped by the rain on his windshield, but still. The fact of the matter is, Tetsuya is gone. And if the race went on much longer, I think Akira would have to contend with fellow super driver McIntosh before long. We get a bit of a Toho battle between Nitori and Suwako. Later we had the inside lane though, making that for more or less a formality. Oshabori has also had quite the rain race here, as she is known for having. As a reminder, she started 19th, only ahead of the race leader himself, and man, a bit sideways from the S30 driver. It was a very noisy car to show up by my house, and it threw me off for a bit there. And so, through the last two corners, Tetsuya Harada almost spins out. And it will be victory for the 22B driver in this wet Red Bull Ring event. 5 seconds later, here comes Akira for second and McIntosh for third. Takahata barely holds off Didori for fourth. And 19th to 9th for Doshabori as well. And then for the drivers who don't like it wet, well, I think these four got damaged, and Reiko just didn't have much pace in that 400. I was about to say 374. What? Well, I guess it's on to round 4. That's what I would be saying anyway, if these were even remotely suitable conditions for a race. This would have been the venue for the next race. Race 4 would have been the 600 class race here at Tsukuba, but the moisture rating locally is rated about 85%. We call races off after 75. So, there is no race 4. So I guess we just skip to the final race instead. Well, after that slight disappointment, let's head into the 5th and final race of this episode. The roulette race comes to us from Le Mans. And we are on board with Natasha Harris, who's already carelessly putting herself into a barrier. But despite that, she got a huge start off the line, cuts turn 1, and now she runs in P5. Might be P4 in a moment, as she's catching a car in a lower category than her in the form of Garrison. Sneaks ahead through these curving turns, catches ice in a really bad place. Alright. Well, honestly, I was surprised to see that that logo is still on the side of Natasha's car, considering what happened on Sunday between her and her Pacific Spirit Racing teammates. From what I understand, it was a this is your last warning type of affair. And Natasha says, fuck your warnings, I quit. Alright. See how that looked from Brian's perspective. Yep. She cut the corner to get to him. He's able to continue though, somehow, despite that basically being a hit straight to the engine compartment. I forgot about this. I don't remember when exactly this happened. Yeah, so before we continue, here is my, the return of my 94 model S14 has arrived. That was my daily driver until a certain Corvette driving American, who is also in this race, gave me the idea to salvage the engine from my destroyed C7 Corvette and try putting it into something else. Because the engine of the car was fine, it was just the suspension and the front wheel well that was the problem. The engine was mostly intact, save for a couple of small fixes to be made. So, what was the car with the next biggest engine bay that could actually use an engine upgrade? Because the actual answer to that question would undoubtedly be my Viper, but that has enough horsepower anyway. But the S14, as you may recall, it lacks power. It doesn't really have much in the straight lines. That changes now. Believe me. Now, if only there was more in my head, because I was like, oh, I'm clear of this. I was not clear of this, and I just slammed straight into the back of Fernando Fidanzi. With great literal power becomes, you know, maybe a little more responsibility. Or at least some sort of spatial awareness, maybe. Of course, the speed that this thing carries into these chicanes, I couldn't quite pick out where I'm actually supposed to be braking for them. Going from my Mitsubishi GTO to this, it was quite a culture shock. So you probably see me kick the back end out a lot because I'm used to four-wheel drive. I'm used to not going this fast. This thing is packing nearly 1,000 horsepower. The Mitsubishi GTO is packing like 370, I think. Ambrosio Reyes is currently enjoying a pretty comfortable lead. Approximately 5 seconds ahead of Stephanie Kaiser at this moment. Remember, that's also somebody in the same category as him, so... Reyes is just that much faster at this moment than he's just swiping the floor with even his own category. I am also in 760, as is Dom DeFrisco, who's currently stuck behind his own teammate. His teammate who's about to pit at the moment, though, because, you know, her, who is also pitting, so... It is still obviously on me for being a klutz and running into the back of not only Fidanzi, but also Garrison. You know, the person that told me to even do this in the first place. But I genuinely think that this car would be better suited to races in the same category. Because, well, reacting to and avoiding somebody going way slower than me is not that easy. As Natasha Harris gets her car fixed and changes tires. She's on soft tires? Well, that's not supposed to be fucking allowed. Yeah, if only with your perfect grip because you're on an illegal tire compound. You drive straight through Takahata, but in Natasha's defense, I don't know why he took that corner so slowly. He's on racing hards, not sports hards. He blows past Trevor Graham pretty easy. He's got downforce on his car, so he's got a parachute basically. The F430 has downforce, not quite as much. The gap at the front just gets bigger and bigger. I would now estimate it's about 11-12 seconds between Ambrosia Reyes and Stephanie Kaiser. And I think the main reason for that is just because of the top speed of the Viper relative to that of the Porsche. At a track like this, which is pretty much just more or less just based off how fast you can go in a straight line and not instantly die when you reach a turn. Well, the Viper is going to have a lot more ability to go in a straight line, that's for sure. No doubting that for even a moment. Harris's F430's actual top speed isn't even that amazing either, but it's she's sort of compensating for that with her choice of racing soft tires, meaning that she's basically a GT3 car in the corners, while not losing a whole lot of straight line speed as a Group 3 car actually would do if one were here. And you can look at the speedometer graphic and just see the cornering speed she's taking through here. That is pretty much comparable to that of a GT3 or GT4 car here. She's rapidly caught DePrisco, and I'm kind of concerned for him here. Natasha elects to not attack DePrisco. Admittedly, considering how much she's been lashing out at her teammates, I'm surprised that she chooses the overtake option instead of the murder option. She certainly didn't take that option with her team owner. Meanwhile, in the Legion of Doom, there is still time to recover here, so I'm not going to be doing much recovering through these corners, though. And Bright Ice is also on the recovery drive, following Natasha's intervention. She's just overtaken Stephanie Kaiser through the Sector 1 section. Sector 1S's, I mean. I still don't think her top speed is at all going to be able to stack up to that of the Viper driven by Reyes, though. If she does somehow catch him, it is absolutely going to be in, like, the Porsche curves and the Ford chicanes. She'll make up a little bit of time in these chicanes as well, but not a whole lot. As I have managed to make it back at least amongst the 760 category. Other than Natasha, I have overtaken all other cars outside of my own category. So given that I got, you know, a big stupid moment, I would call the vehicle a success. I've made it competitive, I just have to make my own driving competitive, and I shall be fine. Finally, I'm no longer the one stuck driving the speed limit down the straightaways. The scheduled race time has long since ended, and Natasha Harris, using those chicanes to her advantage, has now caught up to Ambrosia Reyes, so this is a battle for the lead we're about to have in just a handful of minutes. By a handful of minutes, I mean a handful of turns. What was once a near 15-second margin for Reyes over second is now only a 2-second margin with Natasha Harris behind. then that gap just got down, reduced to basically no gap. Natasha couldn't find a way around into Arnage, though. With some oversteer from Reyes, the horsepower almost too much for him at this point, allows Harris to draw alongside. But the horsepower of the Viper will eventually pull through and rescue Reyes from, losing the lead here. But now is exactly where I expect Harris to make up all of the time she can imagine. She's going to go for it on the way into the curve and easily swoops through to take the lead in the last few moments here at this roulette race. DeFrisco is catching Stephanie Kaiser, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Well, here's a pretty perfect example. This is not Hollywood. Sometimes the bad guy wins. Natasha Harris exits the final chicane and onto the front stretch with a 3-minute, 49-second lap time will win the Le Mans roulette race, despite damage on lap 1 caused by her own stupidity and aggression. Ambrosia Reyes second, and on technicality, a category victor, and Stephanie Kaiser will still manage third place. Dom DeFrisco wasn't far behind at the end of the race, but he is out of laps. And I will be P5 pretty much on my own. And that wraps up episode 57. Oh crap. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, so that wraps up episode 57 here in the challenge series. There's not much else to say other than I'm not a fan of Natasha Harris anymore. I don't think Pacific Speed Racing is either, and I can only imagine that that's probably the end of their partnership. Just as we reach the end of the episode, that is the end of... Well, it's not the end of that team, I don't think. I think Ice, Dom, and Mika will probably be able to continue as their own team. But who's to say how long Natasha Harris is going to be on the warpath against them for, knowing her? I mean, she's salty enough to wreck Ice out of this race, or try. She's going to probably continue her aggression well into the future until somebody gets hurt, or until somebody kicks her out. But until that day comes, goodbye.